Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Meliorvia. I'm up here at Immortals with Mikey.
What is up, John? How is it going, everybody, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You?
Yeah, we're here. We're here.
Glad to be here. And tonight, I thought we would talk about something epic.
I was going to say it has epic vibes, but what about epic encounters?
Exactly. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Epic encounters. There are these series of box sets that are taking up an awful lot of shelf space here, and I keep looking at them going, we should really talk about them because there's a lot of cool stuff in them.
I've seen it. It's been bought a few times. Sorry to interrupt you, and it's interesting.
We got a couple of them here today that we're going to talk about. Hall of the Orc King is one, and the other one is Caverns of the Frost Giant. It looks like Steamforged Games is the group behind them, and they do two different formats of these. These are basically a package of miniatures and a encounter, maybe a couple encounters, really kind of smaller in scope than a full adventure. Some of them you get a whole bunch of character-sized, medium-sized-ish models, and the other ones you get one really big model. And in the ones where you get one really big model, they throw in some counters for other NPCs that are going to show up in it. So with Hall of the Orc King, you get 20 minis here. And I did say they're, normal size, but I mean, these are some pretty burly looking orcs. If you take a look, and actually, four of these guys down here are orcs mounted on polar bears. So yeah, pretty good size there. And I think you're going to have a pretty bad day if you run into an orc riding a polar bear.
Yeah, pretty stable combo.
These are not pre-painted. So they're all, like you just saw, molded in kind of a blue plastic here. And then you do get maps that are relevant for the encounter. For Hall of the Orc King, you get this nice double-sided map, one for this, Arctic looking frost land, and then one for the inside of the Orc King's Hall. That goes and is spelled out in the encounter booklet for when you're going to use which, and also tells you when each of these different minis are going to pop up throughout the scene. This was written by Richard August. He's the writer and developer behind it. He's worked on Conan and John Carter and Soulbound that we've talked about. So some pretty cool stuff there. A bunch of 5e stuff too. There's about 16 or so different boxes of these. And like I said, the store has several different ones on the shelf. The huge miniature, I mentioned Caverns of the Frost Giant. You get a bigger mini with that, and he is quite a bit bigger. I mean, I'd say that's probably about 8-ish inches tall there, along with a nice dramatic base here. So that's the only mini that's in that box, but they do give you some tokens to go with that as well. I can't quite reach them right now, but they're just little punch-out tokens to represent the orcs and some traps that go in with that encounter as well. On the orcs that you get for Hall of the Orc King, there's 9 different sculpts, 8 different stat blocks, so there's a lot of different stuff going on there. They are all pre-based, so you got some nice dramatic bits there. And the adventure for that one is broken down into 4 different encounters. Then you do use both of the sides of the map that are packaged with it. It's pretty straightforward, but there are some fun hooks to get your characters into it. So if they're coming from different kinds of backgrounds, how they're going to tie into it. And you do get some options for, there's a nice weather chart for as the characters are going through this snowy wasteland, what kind of conditions they might encounter. And they give you some other neat little tidbits, like when they're in the Orc King's Hall, it talks about how they could grab improvised weapons off of the feasting table. So obviously, the knives, but maybe like a leg of whatever animal they last roasted, that big bone there as a weapon.
All goes.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's specialized options for if the player characters decide they want to try out some of the orc booze that's on the table.
Would you try it?
I wouldn't recommend it myself, but I'm kind of a picky drinker.
It's got to be toxic.
I'm confident it's not going to be well suited to most PC physiologies. Yeah. This particular adventure is intended for characters in the 5th to 10th level range, but they do give you some tips for tweaking it if you're outside of that range. Cavern of the Frost Giant, like I said, it's pretty similar. You get the one huge miniature, you get tokens for the other NPCs, and you do get different stat lines. So, like I said, 5th to 10th level range, but if your characters are lower than that, they give you a different stat line for the Frost Giant King. If they're higher, they give you another one. So, it gives you some options there, nicely prepared. And actually, these two particular ones really complement each other well because there's a bunch of orc tokens that come with the Frost Giant option, and you could just use the orc models to replace those tokens if you happen to have both of them. I can see either one of these working real well for a one-shot game if you were just looking to fill some time, or if you had a side quest where, you know, your characters went somewhere you weren't expecting and you weren't quite ready to advance the plot yet. You've got the content right here and it's ready to go. You do need dice, you do need rule books, you do need your characters sheets and some minis for them. But other than that, this is, you know, solid night's entertainment.
Epic encounters all around.
Absolutely. Exactly what it says on the box. Till next time, folks, good gaming.
Later, guys.